A lot.
A lot? Oh, good.
I don't know, like, I didn't go to the library one because the English one was in the corridor. It was pretty full.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Spanish split off to the library. Did they speak Spanish in the library?
So no, that was the other thing. In the library, the counselor spoke Spanish, but they had the whole presentation in English, which didn't really make sense because I would assume so. And I know the people who were in the library, I would assume they would have spoken Spanish because I'm assuming the kids know Spanish too. And like I said, there was technical difficulties, so it was hard for some people to like hear the presentation being translated.
Could I ask a couple follow-up questions? What time was that meeting?
It was at 5.
Today at 5?
Yeah.
And it was just an OHS meeting, or was it Jostens and other presenters?
It was a senior parent meeting, so it was just the counselors and Schwartz.
Okay.
Yeah, it just went over like senior events and senior expectations.
And they split into 2 meetings is what they eventually did?
Yeah,
Okay.
like at the same time, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Was it to go over FAFSA information, like for college?
Yeah, that and just Jostens and scholarships and financial aid and like senior events, like a calendar of like all senior events like homecoming or prom and all other things.
Next Monday, we do have a where we create our FSA ID on the 29th. Pretty sure it's on at 5:30. So that one's more like we go into Ms. Perez's and Mr. Gonzalez's room, and we actually like use the computers and start like signing up for FSA.
Just a couple more questions and maybe a comment for clarification. Did they split up the meeting because of the technical difficulties, or they did that before?
No, it was because. Well, I'm not even sure. They just like split us up. They were like, "Oh, if you're using like a hearing aid, like please go like to the library."
Right at the start of the meeting?
After Mrs. Garza, Lord Garza's presentation.
Okay, Thank you.
And then this Friday is our first football home game finally because the first one was like changed into another school. So it's our first one this Friday. And also last week on Tuesday, there was 6 students who went to this program called LASK in Eisenhower High School. And it was for leadership. And it was just, they learned a lot like how to fundraise and like how to get more school spirit. And they gave us a little presentation in our leadership class, like what ideas they brought back to apply to OHS. And they really enjoyed it and think, well, like we should like continue doing LASK. And we also had a club fair last Friday, and that went over like for the high school, and there was a lot of trifolds and like presenters like at the tables saying like, oh, what their club is and what we do in this club, and it was very helpful. We got a lot of interest in a lot of clubs because there was a lot of club meetings today, so we saw a lot of interest in those.
Any questions?
Not a question, but I do want to provide a comment. And when we fall short, I want to make sure we acknowledge that and describe what I hope would have happened. And I'll have to get some more detail from the high school team. But in a setting like that, we would hope that all parents are in the same space, primarily because when a question is asked in Spanish or English, it's good for the whole group to hear that question. And the purpose of having devices to translate is to create that experience where everyone can be in the same space. Also in Washington and in Othello in particular, everything that we put out in that setting should be in a language that's accessible to the parents that are there. So I'll go back and check on some of those things and follow up with them and see if there's any way to not only make sure we do better next time, but if there was information that was missed that parents really need to have. You have a senior meeting this early in the year because it's a big year for you. So apologize for the experience your family had, and we'll make sure we do better.
Thank you.
Quick question on that. How does the translation stuff work? So like they say, we've got a presentation coming up. We need this presentation translated into Spanish. Who does that? How do they?
Yeah, it's not unlike what you see here tonight. We have experts like Dorothy in the back, and we would hand out a headset. She would be listening to the conversation that we're having, translating that and interpreting all of that language into Spanish for our families. And that's what should occur. And then if there's a question from the crowd or that's going to be delivered in Spanish, she would go up and listen to that question and then share it in English. So it doesn't disrupt the flow of the meeting for Spanish or English speakers. It really keeps it going. And it's the best model that we have. And we have the equipment and we have the experts. We should be using it.
Pete, just out of curiosity, is the equipment the same equipment that we have here for these meetings? Or is it maybe the equipment outdated Just out of curiosity, just a question.
Yeah, I think it should be in pretty good shape. We have good resources, so either they weren't charged or something happened. Well, again, I'll follow up and check in on that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you, girls, for your update. Appreciate you. We're going to move into board member discussions and start with Director Gerber with our legislative report.
Okay, the only thing for legislative report, I wanted to provide a brief summary of the WASDA legislative session that happened on Saturday. So a couple weeks ago, I brought the WASDA proposals, and we went over them. And like I said, Dr. Perez and I went over them in depth and decided which way we felt like we should vote according to the summaries and the legislative committee's recommendations. So on Saturday morning, everyone joins over Zoom, and they go through the propositions one at a time. They bring it up, and they say, okay, now we have a certain amount of time for comment, pro or con, for these things if anyone wants to. If no one wants to, then they go ahead and vote right then. But if there is a queue of commenters, then we listen to all the comments and then vote. And so we voted on each one, and it went really well. Almost all of them went with the way that the legislative committee recommended. So yeah, it was really good. And I can provide more details on specific ones if you have any questions about those.
Anybody have any questions?
Pete, I had given you a call. Did they put any information out on the assessment they were going to have at the high school for BESS?
Yes, so there was a mental health assessment that we've been working on across the state, really, a universal screener. And it was done in advisory at Othello High School. I got a call from Director Pruneda, and I know in at least one area, the students, the staff who were meeting with their advisory students, in the explanation or the lesson plan, if you will, it said specifically, students don't have to take it. It's optional. Make sure you're clear with them about that. And then my understanding was the high school was going to follow up with families to make them aware of that as well. So if the student did not want to participate, it's a very short survey, and it's an opportunity for maybe for a student who's been hesitant to share or not thought about these questions that are asked in a well-designed assessment to determine if they could use some supports that our district provides. So yeah, students absolutely had a chance to opt out.
I appreciate that. It's just so we can put it out there that we gave them an opportunity, or there was a way for them to, because they felt like they had to fill out a form to be able to do it. So.
Okay, anything else for board member discussion? All right, at this time, I will accept a motion to approve required approvals.
I will make that motion.
And I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. I will accept a motion to approve accounts payable warrants 2.
I'll make the motion to approve accounts payable warrants 2.
I will second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0 with 1 abstention. And now we'll turn it over to Dr. Perez for superintendent informational items.
Yeah, we want to start initially with, I know there was a request from the board the last time we met about the Kinder Strong Start and to provide an update about that. And so Dr. Denise Mirich, the principal over at Scootney, she certainly has Kinder students at her school and had a chance to collaborate with her colleagues. And I thought rather than hearing from me after meeting with the principals, that it would be appropriate to hear from a principal and have her share where we're at in the process and to take some questions from the board. So thankful for Denise for being here this evening.
Yes, thank you. And is this on?
You might have to hold it kind of close to your mouth. You can pull it off that stand if you want. You don't have to, but. Nope, it's not on. Sorry.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yes, thank you. I am honored to come before you and talk about our Kinder Strong that we've put into practice the last 2 years. So I want to take you back just a little bit about the timeline. We started this program 2 years ago, and in the spring of 2024, Jennifer Garza got a representative from each of the schools to talk about a Kinder Strong Start. And this came about because she had been with the preschool the entire year, and she saw some concerns of her current students because they had some pretty high and unique needs. And this year was especially difficult for them because they had a lot of students who were on IEPs. They needed a lot of social emotional learning. They needed a lot of behavior support. Many were in speech therapy, and there were a lot of multilingual needs that needed some intense support. So she saw this need, and she thought, these kids are going into a very different structure. So what about if we pull back and we think about how to really make them successful? So really the goals for the Strong Start was to set the students and the teachers up for success. And so she thought about this would help build stamina for shorter initial days. So kinders go from, like the beginning of school till end, where in preschool they were only half days. And so she thought if they only went 2 days a week, they could get in and learn the routines. She thought that this would ease anxiety with transitions from home to school. And when you come to school, kinder is structured, and this is the first time many of them have been in a structured environment like that. Even if they had half a day of preschool, coming to kinder is a very different experience. She thought about learning routines and transitions in smaller class settings. So they would have half the kids to be able to, learn how to get breakfast, learn how to get lunch, how to go to specials, how to transition from activity to activity. And this would also give teachers a little more time to get to know the students, to start building those relationships. So fewer students, you could give them more individual attention and therefore start really building those relationships. And it would also give the students time to learn and interact with their classmates and really just build a strong environment. And we know that building a strong environment in the very beginning sets you up for the entire year. So it just felt that it made a lot of sense.
I want to share a couple other points here. One is, if you remember the pandemic experience that our families and our students had, and for our young learners, we remember when we were going half days, on, off, half capacity at the school sites, and then we kind of rolled things back and got it going. Mm-hmm. Also at that time, I think there was a belief that, hey, and you're going to, I think you see it right here, go slow to go fast. That was part of the rationale too, so I want to make sure we remember that experience that students were having. And also probably for many of you board members and maybe your own children, might remember when half-day kinder was the only option. Right? Not everybody got a chance to do full day kinder, and so we're fortunate to have that in our community. And so I want you to understand that at the time that the decision was made, this is an appropriate time to be talking about, should we continue it? How's it working? What do we do next?
Yeah, thank you. So again, the rationale, there were a high number of language needs that these students had. Many were very shy, and coming into this very new structure can be very intimidating. So fewer kids coming in would really help them. There was a lot of behavior needs. They knew what they had in the preschool. They also knew in other community spots that, these behaviors were happening, but also like ones we didn't know. So they thought that would be really good for them. Peer grouping. They knew which students were coming to the school, but we had not put all of these kids together. So how were they going to interact with each other? And so, again, a smaller group just made a lot of sense. And then that go slow to go faster. So we bring them in smaller groups. We have them learn and gain stamina, and then we bring them all together. And it also gave the teachers an opportunity for the beginning of the year assessments, which I will get to in a minute. So let me talk about the structure for just a moment. Again, we started this last year, and I'm going to go to last year because it's changed to this year. So last year, we set it up for 2 weeks, and we divided the kids into Group A and Group B. Group A would come Tuesday, Thursday, and Group A would come Tuesday, Thursday. Group B would be Wednesday, Fridays. Then they would use that Monday to reflect, to get together, decide how it's going, and then do some professional development. On that second Monday, they would use that also for that reflection, and then again to finish the conferences for WAKIDS. So after Labor Day, we started Group A, Group B. We ran that for 2 weeks, and then the kinder teachers came together with the preschool, and they liked the idea, but they felt like it was just a little bit too long. So this last year, we scaled it back to just 1 week because they felt that they could accomplish the same goals, and it would be a quicker transition. So that brings us to what we had this year. So this year, we only had 1 week. So after Labor Day, we brought in A and B, and then A and B, and then we had that Monday where there was professional development. So that brings us to really today. We have implemented and finished our Strong Start this year, but our next job is to determine, did we achieve those goals? And we'll know that from the feedback from the teachers and from the parents and the community and administrators. And from this data, we'll decide the decision we need to take for the 26-27 school year. We've heard that many appreciate it. There's some pros and cons. And so at this point, we haven't had an opportunity to collect all that data, but we will to determine what we're going to do next year.
Could we pause there for a moment, Denise, and see if there are any questions or comments from the board about that first half of the presentation?
Yeah.
So for me, it was just, was it something that it was, I guess I'm going to be a little on the selfish side. I really don't care for the teachers and I don't care for the parents. I want to know what's best for the kids. Yeah. And that's to me, I'm the one that asked Pete to go in because some of these kids, and maybe I'm looking into it a lot more because my son is now in preschool, and he goes and literally by the time he gets home, he passes out. It's too much for him. It's just he's overwhelmed. And I know that we're going to see that again when he goes into kinder, but did we give them enough time? There's I don't know how to explain it. I seen there were some pictures that were out on social media that some of these kindergarten kids in the first week were already sitting on laptops, and they were sitting on Chromebooks, and it's like, did we give them enough chance to get used to? It was funny. He went to school for a week, and he seen his teacher at the fairgrounds, and that was the first thing. Oh, look! And as we were walking through the fair, hey, he's getting my class, Dad. Did we give those kids, because when they go to kinder, now you're putting them in a lot bigger situation. I don't mean to be very blunt about it, but I want to make sure that we're doing the best for the kids, and we're not rushing to try to get to some check mark that we have to get, because we have to get them to an assessment, a test, something. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's my concern, and so I guess I am looking to. I do want to see what the data says and how the kids felt, but I'm very selfish. I don't want to know what it is what the parents or the teachers had to say. I wanted to see what the kids, and if it made sense for them. And so I guess my question next to you is, how are you going to get that data from the kids? Is my next question to you.
Yeah, thank you. You just segued into that next part. I appreciate that you come with the perspective of the students. And when we're talking to parents and when we're talking to teachers, it is about the student experience. Sometimes they have a hard time expressing themselves. Like, it would be nice if they could come and relate as well as you did, things that are going on. But how we assess them is really through how they're assimilating. So I want to talk about the kinder assessments, because you brought up a point about we're going to throw them on Chromebooks right away. And I think that there's a misconception that I would like to address. So, when we give kinders assessments, and really almost up until the end, it was very, very little to do with Chromebooks. It's really observational, and it's through play. So let me explain. So if you'll take a look at this, one of the mandatory in the state of Washington, we have WAKIDS. It stands for Washington Kids, and every student, every kinder in Washington goes through this assessment. And there are 6 domains that they assess. And if you will look, do you see the colors where it's red, orange, yellow, all the way to brown? So this is a developmental timeline. And the red signals birth to birth to 1. The orange is for like year 1 to 2, all the way down to the brown, where that is 3rd grade. So there's a continuum of developmental readiness that these students have. And so the teacher is looking, and so this assessment that they have to take, they're looking at social emotional. And for instance, what they're doing is they're observing if they can take care of their own needs appropriately. Like, can they go to the bathroom? Do they interact with their peers? So really, they're just watching when they play, like, are they interacting? Are they making friends? In physical, they're looking at balance. Like, can they balance when they go out to recess? Their gross and their fine motor skills, like, can they hold a pencil? Can they balance? Like, these kind of things. So it's really observational. So when we are talking about WAKIDS, it's really about the teacher watching and looking and seeing where they fall along this timeline. There are a couple of other assessments that we do give. The really great reading, we do 3 times a year, but it's really in an interview format, and we're looking for the letter names and the letter sounds and really phonemic awareness. Can they hear the different parts of words? The STAR assessment is the only time we put them really on computers. It's about a 10-minute test, and what it does is can they recognize letters and words and put them with the sounds. So when we say assessments, it's not the paper pencil or sticking them on a Chromebook that you might think with the older students. This is really very different. And I know when people say, oh, you're just going to go in and assess them right away, it's really observational, because we need to know where they are so that we can meet their needs. Because when you come in as a kinder, they could come in all along that developmental line, but we need to know where they are so that we can meet their need. Not every kinder is the same.
So you could tell me by like the first 2 weeks of school that every kid had already done an assessment test then?
Yes.
There is a time limit put on this by the state when you do have to have it all completed, ain't there?
There is. Now, this, like the WAKIDS, it's not going to be all completed. They will have begun it, but it's a pretty intensive, pretty long assessment for the teacher, because the teacher's having to do all of the observing. But I think that they have to turn that in like November, like the first part of November. But some of it, you've got to wait, and you've got to have them in there for like a month before you can really assess some of their needs. Some of them are observational right away.
So I have a question, and you might not be able to answer it. Pete, and maybe it's a question. When you're certified to be a K through, what is it now? Is it a K through 8th? Mm-hmm. Is there another certification for kinder through 3rd? Is it more of an emotional, social certification where kids are more, or teachers are more taught for kindergarten, 1st grade? Is there a certification for teachers for that?
Yes, you can be certified K2. Trying to remember what that certification is called.
Yeah, some of it depends on the university you went to as well and the program that you participated in, but there are certainly some early learning options that someone that's really interested in that. They know that that's where their career is going to be spent, and so they would focus on that early band of the schooling experience for sure.
Just out of curiosity, Pete, and not to put anybody, or just if you could give me that number, how many of our 1st through 2nd grade teachers have that certification on their for themselves?
Yeah, we can gather that data pretty readily.
Okay, I'd be happy to answer any other questions that you have.
How do you feel like it went your first week this year? I know last year maybe some of the teachers or parents felt like it dragged on too long. I know you don't have any of your data, but what was your overall sense?
I felt like we had a really positive start to the year. I feel like that the kids, it was really nice bringing them in, especially it was their first time getting lunch and their first time getting breakfast. It felt really smooth. We don't have all the data or the comments from teachers and the parents, but there was a really good feel.
Do you have anything else?
Any other questions? All right. Thank you for allowing me to come.
Yeah. Thank you, Denise. I really appreciate you taking the time to share that with us and the question that came from the board. I just add anecdotally this idea about students' interactions with technology. This weekend, I led a tour for the class of 1968 at the high school, and they always have interesting questions about schools in America, based on their experiences. So they asked about cell phones and what our policy was. So I described our policy, and they clapped and loved it, and whatever. And all of them were on there. We took a class picture, and everyone had an iPhone, right? Something to be aware of, especially for our youngest learners, and probably these two as well. They're what are called digital natives. They grew up in an era of digital technology. It has never not been a part of their life. And so I know our own schooling experience often influences how we're thinking about the work as teachers and as educators and as community members. But I think there's also, there are a lot of kinder kids who could walk in on day one and log in and get to work right away and interact with the media and whatnot. And I think it's interesting that the image we show, if you go back to the slides really quick, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but nobody there is on an iPad. Nobody there is on a Chromebook. But they have that skill, they have that ability, and they have that experience. That's what they do. So part of it is understanding developmentally what's appropriate. And so I think Director Pruneta's question is a really good one. Who are our experts in that area, and how many of them do we have, and what do they think about this process? So we'll go find that out for you.
And I just want to say thank you so much for answering those questions. I apologize if
All right. Next up. We had an experience with, and there are no slides with this. I think it was more appropriate just to have a dialogue. But we had our first sort of redesign of our site visits and this idea that involving patrons in our tour. So I wanted just to have the board interact or ask questions and think about how did that experience feel for you. And then we invited Greg and Marion and Mandy here tonight. And so they're here to take questions if you have them, or commendations or recommendations. But I wanted us to have, maybe, you know what, why don't you three come up? Because I know you had some really interesting comments about the experience and the opportunity. And but let's start with the board. What would you want to describe to folks so that we could encourage more people next time we meet, so that we have a full participation and we have, a larger group seeing the really cool work that happens in our schools every day?
I just want to give props to Mandy. So my aunt came with us, and I think it was just so important just to really see what you do, because at the end of the day, when we were in the car, she was like, more people need to do this, because we had no idea that you have to order this much food and do this many things. She's like, I always was like, I'm going to send my kids to school, and that's it, not thinking like running a school is basically running a business. So I thought it was very important, and she was very at awe with like how much you have to do and how much goes into the school menu and the kids and like just everything. So I thought it was really awesome that she got to see that. And I was like, well, if we have a levy, can you vote for it? She's like, well, yeah, this is important. So yeah, so I just wanted to say that it was awesome to really hear more about what you do, because I mean, I'm barely got on the board too, so it was really important, and I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah.
Yeah, just to echo what she said, there's so much behind the scenes that happens in these three departments, especially, that a lot of the public doesn't know about. And we've got so many great people working on so many great things. When we went to Hiawatha and saw all the buses there and everyone switching buses, and someone has to coordinate all that and figure out how that all works. And they do a great job. And like she said, if more people knew about that, that would benefit everyone. So
I really enjoyed it. Being on the board 8 years, that's the first time that we've got to do a tour like that to all the different departments. What it did is also gave me a great perspective of planning for the future needs of the school district and possible directions that they need to go on a possible bond for in the future too.
I will echo what everybody said. It was incredible. Not to totally steal what Ken said, but, in the 6 years that I've been on the board, I haven't had any type of information that went as deep as that site visit did. So I appreciate all of you. I've never been to the maintenance, facility and all the things that you guys run there, Greg, and the deep dive into the bus garage was very informational. Transportation and going to Hiawatha, that was a neat experience for us too. We rescued a child basically, so that was neat. And Mandy, going to your storage facilities and seeing how you can really make magic with nothing. So I appreciate all of your guys' effort and for informing us for the day and taking time out of your day to do that for us. I apologize. Both my person and I believe Aaron's person called in sick the morning of right before we went, and I wish that they would have been there because it was so good. So thank you guys so much for hosting us. That was amazing. Thank you.
I'm just going to apologize. I'm sorry. We're in the middle of harvest, and I wasn't able to get away. I actually it's one of the tours that we did last year that I actually enjoyed because we went to go see things that we normally don't see for the school. And I know that time of the year is coming where poor Marion's not going to sleep because she's going to be worried if there's going to be snow or ice, and Pete's going to be up in the middle of the night, and Greg's going to wonder how he's going to get his crew to go out and shovel snow. But just to thank you for everything that you guys do, not just during this time, but the whole year, and for the kids and for all of us. And so I'll try to make it and pop in at least on my own to see what you guys do and just say thank you for everything. I appreciate it.
I would like to hear from maybe each of you about how do you think the experience for you will feel for a principal if we are able to bring in folks with a board member to connect and see what really happens in our schools and not what maybe they might hear on social media or on the news or television every day about public education in America. What do you hope that experience would be like for principals, or what would the community get out of participating in something like that?
First or last?
I think it's it's a really valuable experience for somebody to be able to come in behind the scenes and see what it really looks like on a day-to-day basis. So I think that the principals would really benefit from it a lot. And so would the people that are visiting. So Azara, you can come anytime you want to and do a one-on-one with any of us, I'm sure, but especially me, I'll take you around anywhere you want to go. We can show off all of our processes. I'm really proud of our team, and so I like that they got to be highlighted, and I think principals are really proud of their teams, and they would be, they would embrace the chance to show them off because they do a good job, and it's hard work. And so when they get to be recognized and not just, posted about on social media for whatever it is that went wrong, that you can see what that's going right. Because I believe that exponentially we're doing more right than is going wrong. So there's a lot of heart in our district with, top down. So I think that it'd be a valuable experience for any administrator to be able to share that with not only the board, but whoever you could bring. I think, like Mariah said, her aunt had a really good experience, and I think that it would be valuable for anybody who came along.
And I would say that I enjoyed the tour and getting to go see food service and maintenance because we work together every day, but we don't see what's behind the scenes of what each other are doing. And would be beneficial, I think, for our principals to kind of have the same tour of our departments to see what we do behind the scenes, because it's so easy to call in, about missing kids and stuff and not know what we go through for those things, or the meals or maintenance. I think that would be awesome.
I want to say thank to the board and Pete for doing this too. And I had the opportunity of taking Amy around once in the truck to the schools and to maintenance, and it was very eye-opening for her 2 years ago. And so I kind of knew what you guys were going to think already, I would say, after the experience with her. But I would say that you got to see what a rock star Mandy is and Marion is. And then shout out to Pete. I was at a meeting last week for WMOA and talked to my colleagues, other maintenance directors, and no one had ever thought of this, right? And when Mandy and Marion and I and our custodial team and all those ancillary services are doing our jobs to support the school, you never hear about us, right? We're just back there doing all that work. So to be able to show it off, for you to see it, and bring someone else to see it is great. And again, for Pete for setting that up, because we are proud of our teams and the work they do every day, and all the how the principals say it, the positive stuff that they do, because most of the time all you hear is negative. So thank you.
Well, thank you all for sharing. That's some really outstanding ideas there, and I will echo what they're saying. We have some outstanding people, and not only when something doesn't go the way it should, like this meeting we described earlier, they call these jobs OBD, right? One bad day. You have one bad day and your job's gone, right? Your career's over. There's a lot of pressure that exists with those jobs, but there's also the things when you are doing them and no one recognizes it, that they wonder what you do. They have no idea what you do. When you work in the school district, as long as I have, 30 years now, sometimes people become employees that were students, and Greg has one, Abdias Valdez. Abby works for us in maintenance, and I remember in high school, did you go to high school with him? Okay, well, you can take credit for this then. So we were at the high school one time, and the superintendent at the time, George Juarez, his daughter was at the high school, and Abdias asked, "Hey, what's your dad do?" And she said, "Well, he's the superintendent," but couldn't really describe what he did. And Abby said, "I thought he just made sure we had lunch." Like, that's what she thought his whole role was. So when you don't communicate, when you don't tell the good stories, not only do good people not get recognized, but we don't see all the little things that are happening behind the scenes to provide a really good experience for our students. So it was a cool opportunity for us to share that, and I hope that next time we have a larger group, and we're going to figure out how to get the principals around too. So thank you for that idea. All right, thanks, guys.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, can I ask what was the behind the scenes? What was the...
Oh, we didn't invite you. Did you not get invited, or did you not make it? Like Azaro?
We told Miles to tell him.
Oh, okay. So what we did is the board was asked to bring some community members, and then we toured the bus garage first, and then they toured the food service facility where we store food, where we receive and distribute from food, and then we took them to McFarland, and we watched a breakfast after the bell, right? Mm-hmm. See, I'm going to get some of this wrong because you guys walked away. And then from there, we drove to Hiawatha and watched the bus exchange at Late Start, where the students would get off one bus and get on another one to make sure they get to the right schools. And then we took them to the maintenance facility, showed them the surplus area, the storage for the bulk orders we get of paper and ice melt and all the equipment that we have to store and use to maintain the facilities. So some areas that most people don't get to see, right? Because we all live in our own bubbles. The principals have their school. We have our facilities, and even us don't go to each other's facilities that often. So that's what we toured.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome to come tour anytime, too.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. That's it for the superintendent informational items this evening.
Okay. Thank you again, guys. Do we have any public comment?
None submitted this evening.
Okay. We'll move on to our upcoming events. October 6th through 10th is homecoming week at OHS. I know last year we got invited to the Husky Olympics on that Friday. We'd love to come again if you guys would have us, so we can come and watch you guys perform.
Yes, please.
Awesome. The 13th, we have a regular board meeting at 7 p.m. On the 16th is the Othello Career Showcase at OHS. And then on the 20th, we have that's our board site visit at Othello High School. Time to be determined. You got a question?
Yeah, the career showcase.
Yep.
Do you have a time for that?
I think it's all day.
Is it all day?
It's usually starts at like 8 a.m. and it's all day. Perfect. Thank you. Oh yeah, there's a flyer attached to our agenda. Marissa is the best.
Just a recommendation for those of you who maybe certainly can't attend the whole day, but if you get there at the start of each session, you'll hear a message from either from high school administrative staff or Amy Paris and CTE. From time to time, we've had local dignitaries come and give a message. But the really sort of cool part is at lunchtime, where you get all the vendors to interact, and you can connect with all the people who are coming in and give you feedback about our students, what they're seeing in the employees they're trying to attract, what they're hearing from kids, and it's a good opportunity to connect with a lot of folks from the area.
Great. We will move on to our board self-assessment of the meeting. I appreciate Principal Marich for coming and giving us the strong start update for our kindergartners. Thank you so much. That's important information for us to have when parents and community members are asking us. A lot of times we don't know. So thank you for coming and giving us that information.
Full participation of the board. Everybody's here tonight, even our students.
Also appreciate the participation from food services, transportation, and maintenance, and for hosting us this week. Thank you, guys. Anything else? Okay. At this time, the board will recess into executive session for 20 minutes to discuss potential litigation. No action will be taken following the executive